Hello and welcome everyone to day number 2 for Oceanic Gaming's Winter Arena. My name is Rain Conius. Joining me for today is going to be Jubilate. And Jubilate, this is it. There are 3 teams remaining. One already has a place at Riot's Winter Regionals. These 2 teams are now fighting for that final place.
Absolutely, it should be just crazy. I can't even talk straight. I'm so excited. I can't even talk right. I'm so excited for this game. Over on the blue side, we're in the semifinals. It's the best 2 of 3. As you mentioned, someone's already guaranteed a spot in the Winter Regionals. This is going to determine the second spot of the Winter Regionals. Of course, after that, the winner of the Winter Arena. Over on the blue side is going to be UNSW and, of course, CMS over on the red side.
Absolutely. Well, UNSW, they are so keen. This means so much to them. They really want to get over there. But they're a little bit underexperienced. Chatting to the teams just before all this went down. And just said, they only had their team finalized the day before this competition. When I chatted over to the guys from CMS, they were saying, hey, we've been playing together since pre-season, season 1. These guys, just on and off, they're a bit of fun. And then they finally, hey, let's group up for something. Let's have a crack. And look at where they are now. 2 games separate both of these teams from at least a $2,500 prize pool at Riot's Winter Arena. Already into that band phase, seeing some popular bands coming out. And I tell you what, Jubilate, take us through those ones now.
Absolutely, and coming over from the blue side, UNSW banning out the Nidalee. Surprisingly, the Blitzcrank being banned out. And of course, the Aurelia. More than likely a targeted ban. Aurelia isn't really a champion that you see get banned too much. Kind of been a little bit of a falling off for the most part. She ended up getting nerfed a long time ago, and then just everyone stopped playing her. But she is starting to see a little bit of a resurgence due to the fact that they're trying to get that play to counteract just these massive bullies in the top lane. That's why you usually see Ryze or Jax, sorry. And of course, Jax being banned out, so you're not going to have that. But Morgana and Renekton being banned as well. Renekton, just that ultimate bully in the top lane. One of the safest picks in the top lane. Of course, Ryze usually chosen for a counter pick. Even Trundle can be a counter pick to him, but for the most part, Renekton does fairly well against almost anyone. Morgana usually played in that support role. Black Shield really prevents that the holy trinity of supports. Whatever they want to do, it stops the death sentence. It stops the Shield to Daybreak from Leona. It stops the stun from Annie. So a very viable ban on that part, depending if they want to choose one of those Holy Trinity. But speaking of the Holy Trinity, it's going to be Invincible on that Leona.
It's Invincible. Invincible.
Invincible. I got it. I thought NV was just a... never mind.
Never mind. Forget that. It's out the window. But Toasties as well, locking in on that Ariana, the Leona, and now the Shyvana being locked in. This is a ball carry combo. This is all about the Wombo coming out from UNSW.
Absolutely. The Wombo combo is what they're going to be looking for. And already, from 2 champions, Leona as well as Shyvana, 2 ball delivery systems. Leona can just dive straight in, use the Zenith Blade to get straight into the middle or right on top of the AD carry. And of course with Shyvana, she can just use Dragon's Descent, jump right into the middle. I love the amount of CC that is already coming out from SW, because you have the Shockwave from Orianna, which is going to pull everyone in. And of course, before that starts up, you're going to have Leona diving straight in, or Shyvana. So if it's Leona going straight in, that's automatically someone stunned up because you don't have the Black Shield from Morgana. It is banned out. It cannot be chosen. Then, in addition, once the Shockwave is actually used, everyone's grouped up, or at least, hopefully, at least 3 people are grouped up. That's going to be the Solar Flare right on top, Dragon's Descent right after it. The rest of the team can start cleaning up.
That Teemo, that's not a proper lock-in on that Teemo. That is going to be a placeholder for Jarvan the Fourth. Just communicating this between both teams to make sure, because it's right there. But Thresh being picked up, Thresh Lucian, that's quite a strong range, and you got to expect kind of that Caitlyn. She needs to be in there to help combo up with Leona.
Absolutely, and Caitlyn. A lot of people always criticize a Leona Caitlyn lane. They say that it's too weak because Leona is an all-in champion, whereas Caitlyn's kind of that let me sit back and just poke you down. But it's still it's such a strong lane because although they're opposite spectrums, one going all in and the other one's just poking down, they complement each other very, very well, because as soon as Leona locks someone down, a huge amount of poke goes onto that one target, and Leona's tanky enough to just walk away using the Eclipse and getting those extra boosts.
Well, we're going to see an Evelyn lock in, probably going to be in the jungle. And that means a Shyvana top lane, so we're going to have Shyvana versus Trundle. How's that matchup supposed to go up there? And what are the major points of it? As we actually see Twisted Fate locked in for Ballsy, he's going to be picking up that one. And then we're going to go into our remake phase of this one. Just needed the placeholders. Everything is underway. That's all cool. That's all expected for that Teemo pick. But, yeah, we are now getting that lobby remade. Everyone's jumping back in. Everything will be sorted in just a couple of seconds.
Absolutely. And just to talk about that top lane matchup, it's the Trundle versus the Shyvana, more than likely. I mean, Shyvana can still go into the jungle if they want to put Evelyn somewhere else. But chances are you don't want an Evelyn in a lane because she creates pressure by just being in the game. And then, of course, with that, the matchup in the top lane, the Trundle going up against Shyvana, Trundle's been coming back and made a resurgence in this season 4 to counteract the tankiness that's been up the top lane. That's why I mentioned earlier we've been transitioning to some of these carry top laners, something that Cloud9 does. Balls favors it a lot, usually with like one of his favorite champions is a Rumble, who is a damage dealer rather than a frontliner. And what Trundle does is he uses that subjugate to steal the stats away and basically negate the entire tankiness of the champion, allowing him to trade extremely, extremely well. And whenever he ends up winning his first engage up in the top lane, that's when Trundle starts snowballing. It's going to be incredibly hard for Shyvana to come back into the game by herself if Trundle ends up picking up either first blood on her or winning the first engage up in the top lane. And that's really what they want to do. The jungler coming out from CMS does want to make a relatively early visit up to the top lane, get Trundle that first win and hopefully the kill, and then so he can just take care of himself, leave the top lane up to the island, snowball the mid, and of course the bot lane.
Well, in the meantime, we're just going to be getting back into everything. And everything will be just a couple minutes. We're just getting everything set and making sure it's all ready to go. And both our teams are confirmed. But in the meantime, I don't know. Let's talk this, because like this best of 3 decides second place at Winter Arena, top 2 places from Winter Arena going to Winter Regionals. Now, let's also talk what's happened throughout the course of this tournament. 20 minutes before the start yesterday, 20 minutes before the start yesterday, Avant-Garde Redemption had been qualified through in place of Curse in the Challenger qualifier due to some issues going on there. So Trash Cam were contacted, had 20 minutes to make up a team and get them ready, get them into a tournament. So they didn't, they were high performing when we were out at Guff, between myself and Kilari. When we were out there at Guff, Trash Cam got through to the final round against Avant-Garde Redemption and then got picked off in a 2-0. But they were a top quality team, and then, they were forced to put together something lesser, something that wasn't quite ready to be here. And, now everything gets mixed up a lot for them. But, as well, your Social Chuffer, they get all the way through to our semi-final round and then qualify through other... That's how it's gone. That means that UTS gets an automatic qualifier into the brackets. And, well, now these two teams, they play off for the final place. That's how it all went down. We left you guys on Friday night, just before midnight. And, it was just after midnight. And, UTS versus your Social Chuffer. We were expecting probably your Social Chuffer to go through there. They automatically get a free run. They're set. They're sitting down now. They're watching this game, and they're trying to take tips and notes. How do you feel if you're from UTS? Who do you want going through here? Who do you think is probably the stronger team? And who do you think is potentially going through to face them off and win the Winter Arena.
As you mentioned, I believe you said CMS has been playing together since preseason 1, and that gives them a lot of synergy. If you're playing together, if you're real life friends, you know each other's play style. You've played hundreds and hundreds of games together, and with that, it's just team synergy can really turn the difference. I assume that the mechanics between the two players is going to be relatively even. It's really coming down to this team comps, and as you mentioned, the Teemo was a proxy pick for the replacement of Jarvan. So Jarvan is going to be the jungler on the side of CMS, and I think it's going to be heavily in their favor due to the fact that they've been playing so much together for so long. Whereas UNSW said they're a relatively new team. I mean, you can have the best players in the world, but having the best players doesn't replace the synergy that teams get whenever you work together for so long. I mean, we can take an example from All Stars right now, or where Cloud9, unfortunately, High is not able to participate, and it's Link that is the replacement. And I don't know if anybody else sees it, but I know I do. It's not the same Cloud9. They're not as crisp and as sharp as they usually are. And I think part of that effect is that it's Link is being the substitute that for High, and it's just they don't have the essence of High with them during the game.
No, there's no "hi, I'm killing you" essence really there, is there at all? But I don't know. You look down these lineups, and there is some star-studded lineups. There's challenger players on both sides from memory, and you look here. The skill level is here on the Oceanic server. We're now going to see the summoners. So we're going to see Shyvana versus Trundle up in that top lane, both taking teleport. Twisted Fate picking up Flash Ghost, looking to try and make those teleport ganks work. Also ghosting the position, then ulting in. Also a good way to try and make sure that he's in range. And supports as well. This is an interesting pickup. Bubbles is going to pick up the Exhaust against Ignite from Grey Fox Baby. And Ignite a little bit bonus damage, but Exhaust, it's going to cut down the damage later on.
Yeah, in Season 3, we saw Ignite being picked up by the supports, and then, of course, the AD carry taking Barrier. Now with the recent changes that have been happening, we're actually seeing that change to the AD. Actually, when it first changed, heal, it was taking double heal down at the bot lane, and then they changed that once again, so it was the AD carry taking heal, and then of course the support still took Ignite, and then that transitioned into the heal, and then the Exhaust. The advantages of bringing Exhaust over Ignite is that you're reducing the damage. Yes, Grey Fox Baby is going to be able to put out extra damage, and of course true damage, in order to help secure kills and whittle people down or force them out of lane very early on. But the Exhaust mitigates the damage that's going to be coming out from Whacked. So although you're going to have a little bit of extra damage output, you don't get as much DPS, because if the Exhaust is used on the AD carry, your DPS is significantly reduced during the time of that engage.
Yeah, man, it's Exhaust, it's great for that. But then again, that healing debuff, is it going to pay dividends in these games? But I tell you what, we are now 1 minute away from getting into the loading screen of our first game of the day. It is time, man. I've been pumping myself up for the last hour. And, well, I kind of sat down here, looked at the teams and said, I don't need to pump myself up. Look at these teams. They're here for a reason. This is a top quality game. It's going to be a best of 3. And let's look at University of New South Wales. Our blue side, SNX Toasties, going to be playing that Shyvana up in the top lane. Invincible in that jungle on the Evelyn. Chris, I'm going to have to read that one out. Chris, JRDB2. Going to be picking up that Orianna in the mid lane. UNSW, Alice on the AD carry. Caitlyn, bottom lane. And supporting Alice will be UNSW Bubbles with the Leona pick. Take us down that opposition side, Jubilee.
Absolutely. Over on the purple side, it's going to be CMS, going to be Whacked NZ on the Trundle. Feelings in the jungle with the Jarvan. TF Bubbles. Bullsy on that Twisted Fate. Whacked on the AD carry with the Lucian. And of course, Grey Fox Baby going to be playing the Thresh.
Tell you what, these are some great compositions. Where is that first fight going to come out? Who is going to be looking to make the early ganking pressure? Because we've got Evelyn, we've got Jarvan, but Evelyn's going to fall off a little bit later on.
Yeah, it's really dicey where the first engage is going to be. I mean, a lot of the times people want to make the first engage down in the bot lane, especially especially if you're blue side, just because it's so much easier to gank bot than it is if you're red side. And with Leona, you're gonna have that engage potential. Evelynn doesn't really bring CC to a fight, but Leona, three of her four abilities do bring CC, whether it be a slow or a lockdown. So it's a little bit of a more guaranteed successful gank if you go down to the bot lane. But then again, on the other side as well, you're going to have Thresh. He's going to be able to lock someone down with the death sentence. The Flay is going to be able to displace someone and bring them back. If it's level 6, he has the box for a slow if he decides to dive in. And of course, J4 has the knockup, has the Cataclysm. He can try and trap people or even force the flash. But as I mentioned earlier in Champ Select, you do kind of want to get Trundle going just a little bit early on to go up against that Shyvana just so he has that little upper hand so you can leave him on his own. Because as I mentioned, if he wins the first engage up in the top lane, if he ends up getting the kill, then he is going to be just fine, provided that Evelynn is not camping that top lane.
Well, we are now getting into that game, and here comes the ping. CMS, they do not want to let their opposition get into their jungle. They're going to be setting up the defensive line. Here is a 3-man setup. They spot the ward out. So, Invincible, he's going to be walking forward first. He's looking for the scouting opportunities at ward in the river. It's only going to last 60 seconds. They're thinking about it. Where are we going to go from the side of University of New South Wales? And I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. Where are they looking? What pressure can they put down with an Eve early on?
Yeah. Pressure with an Eve early on is basically all around the map, mostly because she does have that. She is invisible. She can't be seen. You don't know where she's going to be. Normal wards don't help when there is an Eve jungler when you put them in the normal spots, whether it be in the bush or in tri-bush down in bot lane, your lane bushes. It doesn't help you spot out the jungler because she's invisible. And with the limitation of pink wards to being the one, it's incredibly more difficult to figure out where she is. What you have to do is ward deep so you can find her by wraiths, find her by blue buff, find her anywhere where she'll pop out of stealth in order to farm, gank a lane, move to counter jungle. It's so incredibly difficult to spot out in Evelynn, and that's where it really makes her so powerful in games, but they're starting on the opposite side, so I think UNSW is going to be looking for that early gank down bot lane.
Thinking about that early gank down bot lane. Well, stealth is probably the best way to get into that lane. Evelynn does now clear out her blue buff. J4 the same, very similar timing straight up. But let's talk mid lane. I mean, TF, he's got that ultimate, he can gank, but Orianna, she's kind of locked into this lane, and she's going to need some wombo combo. But how's the lane going to go on in terms of who's going to win the trades early on, who's going to poke out who?
Yeah, so Twisted Fate does bring a little bit of an advantage to the lane as far as farming goes. Although you do have Orianna, a very strong farmer, a very strong wave clear when it goes with the ball. Of course, you have the dissonance being able to be used to close the
Zenith play in the bottom lane. Leona's looking for an engage. Get some nice poke down. Alice, Bubbles, they take a small lane advantage. Go back to that mid lane now, Jim.
Yeah, mid lane. Of course, Twisted Fate with his passive, he's going to be able to start generating more gold faster. So say they're even on CS, like right now, it's 11 to 10. Twisted Fate is going to have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to gold, strictly from that passive. And of course, touching on the bot lane, what we saw, as soon as they hit level 2, UNSW went for a hard engage. They didn't burn anything. They didn't have Evelynn there for a gank, but Evelynn is round mid lane looking for this.
Oh, there it is. TF locks that blue card. They're going to go in. Forces the flash out from Ballsy and the Ghost. Both summoners going right there. He was a little bit afraid, but 2 summoners right there from Ballsy.
Yeah, and at the same time, bot lane had a little bit of a skirmish as well. Alice was forced to use the heal, but you have Grey Fox Baby, that's a heal and ignite down, but another gank from mid lane.
In comes Feelings into that mid lane, trying to put some pressure down. Both junglers showing themselves mid, one apiece now. Forces no summoners though. That's always important. Orianna's got those summoners right now. She's gonna have a safer laning phase with that one.
Absolutely, and there's just so much pressure on the map. J4 is trying to create pressure in the mid lane, get Twisted Fate, but you do have Evelynn down in the bot lane, sitting in this bush. She's not spotted out. There's no pink ward there, and they could be going for a hard engage, especially with Leona.
Yeah, but Caitlyn's got to be careful. There's the Zenith Blade. Great play. Flashes in for that Shield of Daybreak. Exhaust dropped on a Grey Fox, baby. Not the right target, I don't think. Now Whack takes a little bit of damage. And there's the Destinance back on Invincible. This could be first blood. Caitlyn's actually going to flash deep. Maybe that was a bad call. Yeah, there it is. The gank goes foul. Whack picks up the first blood.
Yeah, and the only thing that went wrong there was the fact that Alice miscalculated the amount of damage that she was going to be putting out. She thought she was going to be able to secure the kill, but took one too many turret shots, and that allowed for Lucian to pick up a kill, especially with that passive. It was that second shot that did that last little bit of damage.
Well, there it is. Lucian goes back. He has the kill advantage. Alice forced into the base purely by death. Both summoners burn now as well. And, well, she's got double Doran's Blade. Lucian goes ahead with that Vampiric Scepter.
Yeah, the Vampiric Scepter is going to allow for a little bit more sustain in the lane. Wouldn't be surprised if Lucian did decide to go with the Bloodthirster Trinity Force route, because that's usually, well, one, that's usually what you see. Two, it's a much safer play rather than just rushing a Trinity Force. You're going to have that sustain in the lane, which you will need going up against the Caitlyn because of her range. Healing with the double Doran's Blade, it's not always the best thing to go double Doran's. Right now, the reason why she got double Doran's is because she needs to stay even in the lane, but there's a gank up in the top lane.
Absolutely, flag and drag. Toasty's taking a bunch of damage. Whack just beating on him. Forces out the flash. Actually, Feelings is going to go aggressive with his flash. Man, these players right now, they just seem a little bit nervous and like they just want to get that first kill out of the way and settle down into this game.
Actually, I think that was just a little bit of a miscommunication between them. The moment that J4 decided to flash, Trundle went straight back to farming to get the lane pushed up. It's not a necessary flash to be burned, but it's pressure down. You do have the flash from Toasties down as well. You could be revisiting up there. Get that Trundle snowballed just to completely dominate the lane. Whack people with that giant ice.
He is whacking instead, so he does want to whack them with that baseball bat. Hook in the bottom lane from Grey Fox, baby. They're going to go in. Great play, grabs Alice as well. She's forced to immediately line a Cal out of there. And that is going to be a huge advantageous trade in favor of CMS, and they're just starting to win out that bot lane now.
Absolutely. It's just trading back and forth right now, and CMS is doing a really good job of pressuring this lane up. It's not often that you see a lane pressure
now the Death Sentence, there goes the Flay, the Ignite dropped into bubbles. Do they find the damage? Oh, the Relentless Pursuit from Whacked. He's going to take a couple of turret shots. They're fine with that one, though. They pick up a kill. That's 2-0 for Lucian right now, and he's ahead of Caitlyn in this lane, man. This is dangerous for UNSW.
Absolutely, it's dangerous. I mean, you don't often see a Caitlyn being forced to farm underneath turret. She's one of the biggest bullies when it comes to AD carries, and I'm surprised on Thresh's build. I can understand Thresh's build getting so many wards, playing so defensively. You have the Doran Shield, which you started out with, and of course with the Vision Ward, he wants to be able to spot out Evelynn if she does decide to gank. He hasn't placed it down yet, just to play it safe. But he hasn't really gone with any sort of gold generation item as of yet, so he's going to be heavily relying on the passive from Masteries, as well as just the passive gold that you generate, any last hits he steals, and of course the kills he steals, and the assists, which is mostly what he's going to be relying on. I'm surprised he hasn't gone for that Ancient Coin yet to get some gold generation to work towards that Sightstone after gold generation item. I think he'll be working towards Sightstone early on so he can switch that trinket to the Sweeping Lens. And if that gets upgraded anytime soon, if there's a gank coming in or if he's trying to clear out a bush and Eve's standing in it, she will be spotted out.
Absolutely. Vision's so important to that early game. Eve kind of the counter to Vision though. But for the meantime, every lane returns to normal. TF did go donated a blue buff, and I believe, oh yep, Orianna has picked up hers as well. That mid lane. And suddenly we get a lull in the action. I mean, Eve, she kind of needs another gank. She needs a gank, actually, to go successful for her. She hasn't been able to find that, but neither is J4 on the opposite side.
Absolutely. I mean, the ganks haven't been too incredibly successful. I mean, we did see the one down in bot lane get turned around, and that resulted in the second kill for Whacked. There was an attempted gank in the bot lane from UNSW, and that resulted in first blood. And of course, the top lane, that wasn't successful either. And we can see with Whacked NZ not being able to get ahead very, very early on, he's getting pressured out by Toasties. He's sitting on 800 gold right now. They're relatively even on gold. The CS is not that much difference, but there is the Bilgewater Cutlass completed on Toasties. That's going to allow much better trade potential than where Trundle was at. Trundle now has a Bilgewater Cutlass, so they can trade pretty evenly. And with him being at level 7, Subjugate's going to help with stealing that tankiness. But still, Shyvana with the Burnout is going to have much more consistent damage coming out instead. So Trundle's really going to have to make something happen. J4 is really going to need to make a visit up there, guarantee a kill, and get Trundle that Blade of the Ruin King much faster than where Shyvana would get it.
So the Eve poking around that top side jungle right now. There is a pink ward at least in there for UNSW as well. They've got that top side of the river pink warded quite heavily. And
looks like they want
Feelings
to move
actually
on
missed that pink ward, but oh, 3-man gank in the mid lane. Forces out that flash once again from Ballsy, and he's totally fine in there. And a roam coming out as well from Bubbles. They're looking for some action for the side of UNSW.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Bubbles did make a roam to the mid lane to try and secure that kill. Leaving your AD carry down in the bot lane in a 2v1 situation is never the wisest thing to do. Because especially when it's Caitlyn, when you're going up against Thresh, the moment that if Thresh lands a hook onto Alice in that 2v1 situation, she has really no escape and no help. But Evelyn's going to be roaming down, be spotted out by a pink ward. So that gank is going to be stopped.
Oh, Flash Descendants onto Invincible, and there's the Cataclysm as well. He's forced to flash away. The Ignite doing a lot of damage. Great Solar Flare. Twisted Faith coming in on the backside of this one. And now he's looking for a gold card. TF does find that kill in the background on towards Invincible, and UNSW suddenly they're 3 kills down, and they're pinging out that dragon for the side of CMS.
Absolutely, and with Evelyn not on the map, you're not going to have any sort of contestation with Smite. And this dragon should go over to the side of CMS, and is going to help their gold flow even more. Looking at the items on Lucian, already completed a BF sword. The gold is hugely in his favor. He is up by about 1,000, and now Trundle with the Bilgewater Cutlass able to do a little bit more damage to Toasties, and he's trading a little bit better, but not as good as he wants to. He's being forced to back.
Well, Trundle backing off. I mean, he was low on mana. Shyvana has picked up actually that chain vest, so that's obviously helping her trade out now, but kills all centering on Lucian and Thresh. They've got full kill participation down in this bottom lane.
So, and that's really what he needed down in the bot lane. You needed full kill participation because, as I mentioned, he didn't have that gold generation item. He now picked up the ancient coin in order to generate that gold, in order to start continuing buying his items. But he does have that Sightstone, swapped out the trinket, so that's going to allow for a little bit more coverage, more war coverage, more presence in that lane. As soon as they get that tower down, they would end up rotating probably towards mid to try and snowball that Twisted Fate.
So I think Jarvan in the 4th covering mid lanes. TF makes his rotation back into the base. He's already picked up an Athene's and Holy Grail as well. And Orianna just a little bit behind. Neither of these mid laners currently have any kill participation. But Jarvan, he's a kill up on towards that Evelyn.
Yeah, but in the top lane, as we can see, Trundle's doing a really good job. Did throw down that Subjugate, so that's not going to be available for any next engage. And Invincible's right.
Oh, there it is. The Agony's Embrace. In comes Invincible. Frozen Domain goes down. Dragon's Descent. They're looking for everything they can under Whacked NZ. Bilgewater Cutlass was slowing him for a little while, but it's now worn off. Oh, the flash of the turret! And those final heat spikes from Invincible. Toasties, Invincible, they find themselves something. Finally, Eve gets that first successful gank off.
So at the same time, the bot lane, another engage.
Absolutely. Look at Bubbles. He's so low. Lucian picks up 1 kill, casts out the culling. Now he has the mana for that one. Oh, the flash underneath for the double auto attack from Lightslinger. Picks himself up a double kill. Man, Lucian 4-0-1 right now. Whacked. He is huge for the side of CMS.
Absolutely. And there's nothing better than a fed AD carry. Well, maybe a fed Bjergsen might be better than a fed AD carry, but it's so good for the side of CMS, having that AD carry. That's where most of your damage output, especially when it comes to sieging, trying to take down turrets, your AD carry is so essential for knocking them down. In that top lane, it was an engage in favor of UNSW. Trundle was killed, the first death in that top lane. and that's going to set him behind just a little bit. I mean, the gold isn't too much of a difference. It's about just 200 gold difference between the top laners, but with the Giant's Belt working towards that Sunfire Cape on Shyvana, she's going to be able to sustain through fights much longer than Trundle will. So J4 needs to either get him going or just completely snowball Twisted Fate, snowball Lucian even more down that bot lane, and then of course just allow Trundle to just free farm. They might give up the turret, and then he can free farm that way. But Trundle, mostly, he's just looking to get that Blade of the Ruin King and just get straight tanky after that, so he can be really, really inconvenient to any NSW when it comes to team fights.
Look at that 80 carry gold, though. It's 1,800 advantage for Lucian up in that top lane. Trundle throws out that Subjugate, just brutalizes onto Toasties a little bit more. And, well, we mentioned it was trouble earlier for Caitlyn, but she's now in a worse position. It's 1,800 gold advantage and difference between the two 80 carries. That's almost the lead sitting here for the side of CMS.
Absolutely. I mean, if we're looking at the items, you already have the Bloodthirster completed. Caitlyn only has the level 2 boots completed. She is sitting on 1,400 gold, but there's a gank up in the top lane.
Oh, great Dragon's Descent. Dodges out the flag and drag from Feelings. And that means that Toasty's getting out of there. But in the meantime, Invincible is looking for something on a Ballsy. Steps a little bit too far forward. Agony's Embrace comes out. Is that a little too far on the turret? No, they're going to go for it. Oh, the flash out of the Shockwave. Ballsy's going to dodge that one. And immediately that pause comes out for Alice. She is going to get a little bit of breathing space in this bottom lane. Maybe fix up a couple of issues she was having. And I tell you what, it's being a game so far just dominated in this early game from the side of CMS, and another dragon spawning in about 1:40. And tell you what, is CMS able to take this next dragon with the team composition that they have?
CMS, they're doing a really good job of controlling the map so far. They just took the top lane turret. That's going to allow Trundle to be around the map. Of course, you do have the teleport on him as well, but that being said, the teleport is on Toasties. So I wouldn't be surprised that if they try to take this dragon, if there is vision on it coming out from UNSW.
Teleport actually straight into the bottom lane. You mentioned it's up, and actually Shyvana's going to cancel that one. It won't be up for the dragon timer now.
Yeah, and actually the reason why it was canceled is because the ward that was being teleported to actually timed out just as she was trying to complete that teleport. It's really, really unfortunate, but that means it's going to be down. She's going to be in that top lane, and the best thing she can do if CMS do decide to try to make a dragon move right now is to just split push the top lane. She's already past River, and with no tier 1 turret there, she's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the map. That's going to force Trundle to stay in that top lane, and it'd be incredibly risky to teleport to that dragon fight because you could lose a tier 2 turret.
Well, Invincible again. Oh, the flash into that play backwards in the box. Invincible's taking a lot of damage. Grey Fox Baby will pick up the kill. And now they turn around, look for anything else. Another piercing light from Wax. Does a bit of damage to Alice. Now on towards Bubbles. Bubbles is going to flash back underneath the turret. Alice is trying to do the damage he can. There's the ace in the hole. Oh, doesn't get blocked out by Wax. But that is an advantage, I'd have to say, once more in favor of that Lucian and the Thresh. In that mid lane, though, we saw a siege. Shyvana had rotated down, tried to put some pressure on the turret, and it's got a couple hundred health left. But that gang in the bottom lane, that's desperation coming out from the side of UNSW.
Absolutely. It's so risky to try and gank bot lane right now, considering how far ahead Lucian is. With 4-0 in kills, he's sitting on 1,700 gold in the bank. He has a total of 6,900 gold. This mid lane's going to go down. It's going to try and even out the gold just a little bit. There's still a 5,000 gold difference globally, but the itemization already Phage and Sheen being completed. He's going to be working towards that Trinity Force. Already has the Bloodthirster. He's miles ahead, and now UNSW is working towards Dragon because everyone else had the back. There's no pressure from CMS right now.
Absolutely, UNSW picked that one up and now start the kite on towards J4. Can they find any picks here? CMS are quite split, so if they do find anyone whatsoever... Oh, flash flag and drag, and the Cataclysm goes directly on towards Oriana, takes a bunch of damage now. Feelings is going low. Soul Flare on towards Whack, but he does dodge that one. Look at Oriana, she's barely in this fight. They managed to take out a couple of kills, and now the cleanup comes through. There it is, Alice And Evelyn going to be the last two alive, but Invincible's going to get out. They turn that fight so well. Twisted Fate ultimate. Invincible, can he get out of this one? In comes the wildcards again. Ballsy will be looking for some more damage if he can find it. Invincible's been zoned back into the opposition jungle. Can he find his way out here? He does have the stealth now. He's running away as best he can, but tell you what, CMS lost that fight initially. Diablo 4th, great initiate, goes down. Grey Fox Baby as well. But, uh-oh. Whacked NC finds Invincible. Still going to look to continue chasing. Great Pillar. Frozen Domain as well. There's the chomp for bonus slows. One more auto attack. Whacked picks up that kill. And that is such a delayed kill. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. But how about that Dragon fight? I mean, Dragon had already gone down. UNSW got an advantage. They kite backwards quite well, but such a great engage from Feelings.
Yeah, everything went well for UNSW. They got the Dragon. They were getting that disengage. But what did it was the flash cataclysm that came out from Feelings. He trapped 4 members of UNSW in that cataclysm. No one really had summoners to get out of it. I'm surprised. Actually, Alice used 90 caliber net to get out of it as well. But with that entrapment, it was so essential because that allowed for everyone to start going in. As soon as that cataclysm was thrown down, Whacked NZ threw out a pillar right in the middle of everyone. That is a displacement as well as a slow for everyone else to catch up. Wild cards being thrown out, that's going to do damage to anyone it goes through. And of course, Whacked on the AD carry, he wasn't focused at all that entire fight. Leona, the only person who was not trapped in that cataclysm, ended up using the Zenith Blade and the Shield of Daybreak on the support, Grey Fox Baby. That is not the person you wanted on. If you're Leona and you're in a team fight, you want to focus down Whacked. Whacked is the most fed champion on the side of CMS, and because of that, they're taking Baron right now, but it might get contested.
It's at half health. Death Sentence now goes down. They're trying to clear out ward coverage from the side of CMS. Toasty's looking for that engage. Agony's Embrace comes out. Solar Flare misses once again. Dragon's descended into the pit. The Culling's doing a lot of damage to Toasty's, but Grey Fox Baby very low. He's tanking. But now it's going to be the turn back around. They pick up the Baron. They pick up 2 kills. They finally managed to get Thresh and Twisted Fate as well. But can they win the fight? No, they cannot. Caitlyn is the only member to survive. Whacked and Z, Whacked and Feelings walk away with Baron and 4 kills for their team. Tell you what, that was close. That was a risky play, but they made it work for CMS.
Absolutely. It was a high risk, high reward play. One thing that they did very, very well was instead of disengaging from Baron to stop them from trying to take it, they just fought inside the Baron pit, forcing UNSW.
Oh, Alice underneath the turret! So close to going down. Whacked has got so much damage on her right now. Trinity Force Bloodthirster to just a Bloodthirster. And they pick up a turret as well. Not only do they get that Baron, they get the fight victory, and then they take a turret. CMS looking so strong with a 9k gold lead.
Absolutely. Just they're dominating this game. They're 10 kills ahead, 9,000 gold ahead. Lucian himself is ahead in items. He's ahead in golds. He's sitting on 1,800 gold. Whacked NZ gets his backstop. But as I was mentioning before, that Baron, such a high risk, high reward. The advantage that they had was forcing SW to fight in the Baron pit. So by doing that, they take damage as well as CMS. But what CMS did was stay far away from Baron inside the Baron pit as possible. So most of the members who were taking the aggro from Baron were on the side of SW. And MVP in that fight had to be Baron.
MVP from that fight, Baron. And, well, right now, that's going to be so much of an advantage for CMS. But let's talk solar flares. Bubbles has been looking for those solar flares, and they've just been dashed and flashed out of every single fight so far.
Yeah, the solar flare is so essential to their team comp. They are a very dive-heavy team comp. They want those team fights. And as mentioned on the stream yesterday from Zol, if you have to play to the strengths of your team comp. And right now, SW is trying to, but they're not finding any of the engages that they want. They tried doing one engage and it just turned around on them. Of course, that was the Baron fight. Before, they tried to do a disengage and that turned around on them as well because you had the Cataclysm locking up 4 people. The solar flares have not been landing. You have Whacked. His mechanics are amazing. He's able to just jump away from the middle of the solar flares. If anything, he gets clipped on the edge, and it's just the slow. It's not the stun that they're looking for. In addition, you have J4 who can do a flag and drag, cause a lot of disruption in the fights as well. But now there's an engage up in the top lane. They're trying to take down
Absolutely
Whacked.
whacked and said, oh, he gets that landed trade. Another solar flare misses. Alice gets hooked back in. This could be an engage. They are going towards Alice. The box comes out. Flay as well was back, but Grey Fox maybe overextends right there. But look at composition from CMS. They're on this mid lane middle turret. And Twisted Fate in the bottom lane. Whacked, he picks up the turret. He's still going to look to get out on towards this bottom side. Oh, the trap! That's not good for him. There's everyone here from UNSW. They're trying to track him down. Gets the dash away. The flash as well. He's looking for any means to get out of here. The heal, the culling now. The stun card from Ballsy was fantastic. Toasties is taken quite low. And they get him again. Can they find a little bit more damage? Another gold card. They're going to win that one. Feelings locked everyone up. Great shockwave for the first time. Whacked very low. They finally managed to pick up Whacked. Twisted Fate's going to go into the backline and immediately get stun combo, but it doesn't matter. He picked up Caitlyn, and now it's going to be Leona going down as well. They finally do manage to get Twisted Fate thanks to a nice play by Chris, but now he's on the run as well. And look at that. They get the absolute perfect engage that they potentially could have wanted. A couple of picks, and they're not quite able to make it work from UNSW.
Yeah, so in that fight, that, as you mentioned, that was the perfect engage that they wanted. It was on SW's terms, and everything was going right for them until the rest of the team showed up. You actually had Whacked NZ on the other side of the wall. He actually flashed the wall just to help out his AD carry after the gold card landed on Shyvana as Lucian was being chased. At that point, that's where the fight turned around because the rest of the team was there. They had the engage up in the top lane. They picked up a kill, and then they picked up the kill. Actually, that was on Thresh. And then they tried to bite off a little bit more they can chew by trying to take down Lucian as well as Twisted Fate. They had no idea where the rest of the team was, and they should have been aware that they probably were rotating down bot, and they were a little bit out of position. The team comp from SW is definitely better in team fights that are taking place in the lanes, just because it's a little more open. They're not grouped up as much. They can be spread out and then dive in. Whereas you have CMS, a fight in the jungle is absolutely where they're going to excel. For one first reason, Whacked with the culling is going to be able to place it directly onto someone. He's not going to have to worry about having to move back and forth, because if you're trapped in the jungle, there's not much room that you can go back and forth, especially if it's over by double golems. Now they're all just trying, they broke the base, they're trying to get this and going for an engage.
Goes deep. He does get Alice and Chris as well. Chris gets Destinus back in. The Solar Flare finds a couple of targets, but it's not going to be enough from UNSW Bubbles, and now the fight is just going so far, and CMS is failing. Leona goes down. Now it's on towards Toasties and Destinus onto Invincible. Can they pick him up as well? Yes, they will. 3 members go down. Oh, Alice, so far out of position. And, well, the Twisted Fate ultimate comes through. The only member left right now is that Shyvana. The Dragons to send it away. Can she defend the base? I don't think she can. First Nexus turret goes down. And look at this comp from CMS. They're so confident. They're moving into UNSW's base. They're going to take game 1. Whacked NC solo will eventually go down to Toasties, but it's a small reward. And tell you what, this is game number 1. Shyvana goes down, the Nexus explodes, and CMS, they're 1 game up in this best-of-3 series.
Yeah, and as I was mentioning earlier, I mean, CMS has been playing together for such an incredibly long time. They know each other's playstyles. They probably know instinctively what one person is going to do without even being told. But, like, it's no surprise. I'm going to be honest. To me, it's no surprise that they did so well, especially with how